brilliant young guys that may be out there, even the ones who are clamoring for any kind of job they can get, how many of them are really going to want to come here? It's a one-year deal.
Oh, I know.
You come here, and the best case scenario is you last 1 year, and you're shown the door when Pettin is shown the door in January. I mean, it's pathetic. I mean, it's to the point really where there's no sense in talking about it. I mean, it's
JK,
apathy is sinking in. I mean, what can you say? I can't understand why anybody would sit here and really get upset about this, because this is, as you said at the beginning, this is par for the course. This is what the Browns do in January. You know, Punxsutawney Phil comes out February 2nd, the ball drops January 1st, the Browns start firing coaches shortly thereafter. It's part of our culture.
I got to tell you, let me ask you, man, just tell me yes or no if you agree with this statement, man. I don't care. People that want to protect themselves so that they can not be second-guessed later in hindsight, save that. I don't like that riding the fence stuff. I will blatantly put this out there. I think when the big story is written, period, in the future, in history, the drafting of Johnny Manziel is going to go down as one of the biggest miscues in Cleveland Browns history. In the big list, easily, it's going to go way at the top because it's had already so many reverberations and after effects, and we haven't even begun to see, because now the second half where it's forced onto an entire season is most likely in the offing, unless we're all off base and something is going to change here. Because I do have some people that I don't know if you heard me, but I said this may be the first time ever that I've had two different people in Berea telling me two different things about where this franchise is on Johnny Manziel. I don't think that either one of them's wrong. They're both right, because depending on what part of the building you're sitting in, you probably have a different opinion on Johnny Manziel. I've heard that there's business people that believe that the Browns left tens of millions of dollars in potential revenue on the table this year, that's all they care about. There's people who, I mean, obviously have to protect the fact that they chose this guy and they're not going to back down. There's a complete difference in the people that actually have to play with the guy, the coaches. They go, well, look, man, I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that this is going to work because we actually see it. But I will boldly say that top 5 easily, maybe even higher, biggest mistakes in Browns history will be the drafting of Johnny Manziel.
Easily, and I totally agree with all of that. And the thing that's really scary is that many of us, and I'm not saying this with any pride because I'm part of this group, but many of us told you this was going to happen before they ever drafted him.
Yes, we did.
I mean, and I know things are bad when the Browns make me look smart, because I'm not going to claim to be any kind of expert in terms of player personnel or judging talent or anything. I can't even play fantasy football. This is how poor I am at that aspect. But when the Browns are able to make my words come so sparkling true, and I look like a genius, and it did not take a genius to predict that Johnny Manziel was going to be a train wreck. I think maybe to the magnitude of the train wreck that he was, maybe. But no, I think there are a lot of people who are with me on this. And so when I'm able to see this, that's when you know, okay, you know, when the 5-year-old's able to drive the car, there's something wrong with this picture. But yeah, and to your point too, I think that where it really hits home is it does show the stark mass confusion within the Browns organization from top to bottom. It's this chaos. There's no clear direction. There's no consistency. There's nothing. And you're right. Depending on which department or which person you're talking to, they have different views on Manziel. And the closest thing I can think of to anything that the Cleveland fans have seen like this in the past, and even it's still not that close, but the closest comparison I can think of is when the Cavs signed Sean Kemp, when they acquired Sean Kemp, and that's not because, I mean, Kemp at least was a proven commodity to some extent.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
he was
Manziel, we were taking a flyer. Yeah. But that was a very interesting situation where you had a clear dichotomy between the business marketing side of the team that was really excited. We need a star, a proven star to sell tickets and to put on the cover of the media guide and what have you, and the basketball, the actual sports guys who are looking at this saying, no, you cannot bring this guy in here. This is
Andre Rison.
This is going to ruin this team. Or, yeah, there's another good example. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened, but yeah, I mean, this is to use a such a ballyhooed pick, and the media obviously has blown this up as well. So the Browns, regardless of how they screwed it up, the media was going to be all over it. But I like what you said at the beginning too, that the homeless guy should be should be run out of town on a rail. I want John Gruden. I want all these guys, other than maybe Merrill Hodge, all these guys in the media who were basically threatening the Browns under penalty of death that you have to take Manziel, and we're so enamored with Manziel. Where are those guys now? Why are they not called on the carpet? They're the ones who had the power to sort of manipulate the situation and maneuver the Browns into this, paint them into this corner through the media to have to either take Manziel or look like a donkey. And so where are they? Where are the consequences for those guys? There are no consequences for those guys. They get scot-free. That's the fun part of being in the media.
Right. Trust me. I'm with you, man. Nobody thought he was going to be good now. Nobody thought he was going to be good
exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Go pull up your DVR stuff from last year. I was talking to some guys who do the draft stuff for a living, so they have like hundreds of hours of that stuff from last year. And I'm like, go watch how many people would be ashamed if you showed them this footage now, And anyways, but hey, man, as long as there's one person convinced that it was somebody else's fault, we're going to do this. Insanity. That's all I'm going to say. It's the definition of it, man.
Yes, it is.
I want to end this on a good note before I let you go. Forget it. We're not going to talk about anybody else. Buckeyes, baby. OH. They're heading out, traveling today. Of course, big championship game on Monday. Where are you at? I mean, Dan Wismar likened it to playing with house money at this point when you've already knocked off Alabama and all the feel-good. Do you think the Buckeyes have one more in them, man? Do you think they can take care of business against the Ducks?
I think they will. I think they do have one in them, and I think they will take care of business. Honestly, I looked at this from a much more objective point of view. I'm not an Ohio State guy. I'm not anti-Ohio State, which is odd. I think I'm the only soul living in Franklin County who is not a proclaimed Ohio State fan, especially this week. But yeah, looking at this a little more objectively, yeah, not to take anything away from Oregon. I think that's a fine team, and their quarterback is amazing. Had a great year, but yeah, there's just something about Ohio State. There's just something that sort of defies expectation, and by beating Alabama, I think that's in a way, if there is one thing they need to be wary of, and I know they've addressed this from the seconds after that game ended, was that they're not done. They still have one more game, and that's true. And they had, hats off to him for addressing that and recognizing that, because this is a very unique situation. We've never had, typically after games like Ohio State and Oregon won last week, that'd be it. It'd be done. And mentally, emotionally, you kind of check out, because that's the history of college football. You finish your regular season, you play a big bowl game, and you're done. And now it's like, no, you have an even bigger one now. So for all the saying, oh no, we got one more, it's like, that's true, but it's going to be interesting to see if either team is affected by that they may have left it out in the field a week ago when they played their big game on New Year's Day, and maybe don't have quite as much in the tank when the rubber hits the road. So that's going to be, if there's going to be a turning point, I think that may be it, that emotion may burn off in the first few minutes, and they realize, wow, I really didn't have anything left in the tank. But yeah, but I think it'll be certainly a high-scoring game, an interesting game, as we saw in the two semifinals. My goodness, defense is no longer something to build championships on in college football, as we've seen here this year and maybe last year. So yeah, it'll be high-scoring. It'll be entertaining, to be sure, and there'll be a lot of people logging around and a lot of sluggish one way or the other. There'll be some heavy heads and some slow people coming to work on Tuesday morning.
Oh, you know that. I actually think it's going to be I'm not going to say low scoring, but I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as people think. I think the Bucks are going to get more physical than Oregon's used to, man. I think the Bucks are the more physical team, and I think they'll actually grind it down at times and then speed it up. I was talking about it the other day. I think they've got the ability to change speeds and change tempo better than the Ducks do. The Ducks have one speed, and it's all go all the time. I got to end it with this as the story pops up in front of me. This is the perfect way to end the Browns part of the conversation that we started with, JK. Not only was it dysfunctional, the rumors that supposedly Kyle Shanahan's accusing Browns front office members of texting him during the game about his play calling, but only in Cleveland could this actually possibly be a violation of NFL rules and regulations, as apparently the NFL is investigating now reports that the Browns front office communicated with the coaching staff. Texting is a violation of the NFL's rules that prohibit electronic communication during the games. The NFL says they are investigating this now. The rule states that use of cellular phones, smartphones, tablets, devices, so on and so forth, by any club personnel is prohibited in all club areas, including and not limited to the sidelines and the coaches' booths. These run from 90 minutes prior to the game through to the end of the game. So not only would it be the sign of a dysfunctional franchise for the front office to be communicating with the coaches during the game, but it's actually against the NFL rules, and the Browns may find themselves being fined or perhaps subject to penalties if this turns out to be true. So, only in Cleveland, my friend.
Isn't that great? Isn't this just great? Hey, with any luck, maybe they'll force the Browns to suspend operations for a year or two and just not field the team, and we'll all be sort of spared this travesty that we're about to see. Maybe that's the best case scenario. Just force the Browns to take a timeout, go sit on the piano bench for about 10 minutes and think about what you've done. And when you realize what you've done wrong, then come back out and we'll throw your owner into jail and then start new ownership and we can start all over again.
But last time they put us into timeout for 3 years, did you see how bad we came back? Could you imagine?
Well, exactly. That's the only thing that's going to fix this is doing it again, going back through the wormhole.
I liked your idea for reversing the curse. Go back and reset the river on fire. Go back and reverse and relight the river on fire and try to get a witch doctor to put the curse out that way, man. Maybe we've got to do that, man. I don't know.
Got to explore all avenues to be sure. We've tried the conventional methods to fix this, and those are not working.
JK, my man, good stuff. Good to have you back. Looking forward to talking about brighter things like spring training and warm weather.
Spring training, I was just going to say, yes, like spring training. In 5 weeks, you said, from Monday?
That's it, man, 5 weeks. You got it. JK, have a good one, and we'll catch up next week, my friend.
You bet, buddy. Take care.
All right, that is the sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight. When we come back, let's pick up the conversation there. Curious to see where the BSK Kendall Lewis checks in on this, where he's at with the Buckeyes as they take on Oregon and Cavaliers, their latest moves this week. BSK Kendall Lewis has got some thoughts on all of that and more, and he joins us next right after the news here on the Sports Fix. Don't forget, Hour 2, Jeff Gorman, NFL playoff divisional previews, and so much more still to come. Ton of Sports Fix coming your way next.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
The Sports Fix.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the side!
In-depth, personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.